Hi, my name is Soile, and you're listening to Heart to Heartland, a fan podcast from a fan perspective. Hello, and welcome back to Heart to Heartland. You know what I just realized today before I started recording? That I've deprived myself from sitting on a couch because before, when I filmed these, like the video version, I had to sit by a table because I had to have the camera. So now that I don't have the video versions, I've realized I actually don't have to sit by the table. So, yay. But it's a good thing that I realized this because your comments for episode 6, called Sisters of season 18, are long today, so I should get comfortable. Oh, and one more thing. I realized as I was editing the previous episode that I probably should have some kind of soundbite between my comments and your comments, just to make sure that everyone's on board who's commenting what and all that. So if you hear a new jingle between comments, it means that the comment is over and I'm now talking about my perspective. So hope that clears it out a little bit. But yeah, let's get started. No context, Heartland said. I really liked this episode, even though it gave me absolutely unparalleled levels of stress. I love Lisa getting included in the girls' trip, even though it went a little sideways. She was able to offer some perspective for both Lou and Amy, and I don't think they would have cleared any of the air without her. Them mentioning Marion and having some connection was sorely needed after they felt distance recently, though I think the fact that Lou's worry isn't only about the business, but also Amy getting hurt, will go over some people's heads. Then Lou accidentally telling Jed about the Alzheimer's secret will only make some parts of the audience hate her more. It just sucks that it is affecting Nathan, and it puts Amy in between a rock and a hard place. Now she has to decide if, when, how she's going to tell Nathan, and it's going to really shake her trust in Lou, even though it completely makes sense why Lou thought Jet was talking about it. I love getting to see Amy working with a client horse as a main plotline again, and I found Reggie and Shushi likable. I wasn't mad about Katie's storyline, but I also didn't love it. But I did like getting to see Parker again and having Peter to be a big part of the episode. It was so fun to see a callback to him knowing about telescopes, and he was fun as a chaperone. I really liked getting the moment with him and Katie the next day and him offering good advice without totally freaking out. Side note, before we knew Prize Beef was getting dropped, Amy looked so cute dressed up for their date. Yeah, I totally agree that Lisa was needed for that trip. At first, it was kind of like, okay, well, it's good that she's there because she has made a name for herself and she's a good businesswoman. But in a way, it was kind of surprising, like, oh, they included her. But you're so right. I don't think Amy and Lou would have had that talk that they did if Lisa wouldn't have been there. And I really love that personal moment from Lisa as well, telling about her sister and how her relationship with her sort of got strained. I'm not gonna lie, I was surprised to hear that her name was Tammy because I've tried to imagine what her name could be ever since season 1, when Ben arrived to Heartland and all that. And I gotta say, Tammy wasn't on my list of names that I would have pictured for Lisa's sister. And I'll just leave it at that. I also really enjoyed the horse storyline. I know it was kind of simple, and we've had similar horse cases before, but I don't know. I just really liked Reggie. I felt that he had a really special connection to Shushi, and seeing him just made me realize that I do miss these like client horse stories, even though I do like all kinds of storylines. And I know that we only get 10 episodes per season these days, but I really liked having this sort of small and kind of simple storyline because, I don't know, Reggie was just so sweet, and I really love to see whenever a client has a really good relationship with their horse, because sometimes they're in a rush or they're very forceful and all that. And so I really enjoy seeing the rider and the horse coming together in the end. And I think this was a sweet storyline about that. Then HL Horses said, "This was a decent episode. I was really excited to see a road trip with Lisa, Amy, and Lou, and it was pretty good. I was hoping for a bit more, but overall, it was good. Loved seeing Nathan asking Amy on a date and seeing Lindy's reaction. I hope they include her more in this sort of Amy's life since she is older now. I loved scenes with Lindy and Nathan last season, so hopefully there's more this season. However, I knew we probably weren't going to see the date, and I was right. Hopefully, at some point, we do. I really like to see Lisa really into the girls' trip and really wanting to go with Lou and Amy. We hardly get scenes with just the three of them bonding, so I love that part of this episode. I thought it was funny when Lisa made sure they were flying. I'm surprised Lisa wanted to leave when Jack was hurt, but I guess since it was a low-key injury, she was fine. As in the Amazon package that showed up in episode in either season 16 or 17, seeing the Tesla car threw me a bit. I also really like Lisa's saddle purse. As I've said before, I love seeing the business side of Lisa, and the fact she's included in the Heartland beef meetings when she has nothing to do with that business was really nice to see, as I feel the family doesn't always treat her as part of the family. I did feel bad for Lisa this episode, though, because she literally had to act as a mom sometimes when she just wanted to hang and have fun. I'm glad to see that Amy brought up Peter being the enemy, as I was wondering if that would ever come up. Also, it took me way too long to realize that they were staying at Peter's condo. I'm still not entirely sure, but I think they are. Yeah, they were, because Peter had a small line about that when he came to Heartland. Took me until Lou knowing where the wine thing was to realize. I really, really like the heart-to-heart between Lisa, Amy, and Lou. I mean, we finally hear about Lisa's sister for the first time since, I think, season 1. And in general, a lot of people's headcanon about the sisters seems to have turned out correct. Love the Marion mention as well. Them teasing Lou about her outfit was pretty funny too. Love them all dancing at the end of that scene. Random, but did Lou call Lisa Lise? I knew once Amy told them about Nathan's dad that it was somehow gonna get blown out of proportion, and I wasn't wrong. I really didn't want Amy to tell them, as I knew it was going to happen, even if it was by accident. I wasn't expecting the outcome to be as huge as it was, though. Now there's going to be so much drama in that Nathan will probably be mad at Amy, and Amy will be mad at Lou, and it's going to be a big thing. I'm hoping Nathan and Amy can work it out once it comes up. I hope Amy tells him once she figures out what happened. I will say the episode went differently than I thought. I thought the fight they were going to have would continue for episodes, and based on what Amy found out at the end, it will, but I wasn't expecting them to make up first. This whole part of the storyline will be interesting these next few episodes. As for the horse story, it was interesting enough. I like seeing dressage in the show, and it was interesting that the horse was deaf. The other two main storylines in this episode gave me secondhand embarrassment. LOL. Once I realized what Katie was going to do with Brandon, I was not a fan. I did think the whole storyline was very age appropriate and a good teenager story. I'm glad to see they didn't forget Katie likes to dirt bike. I love seeing Peter, and the talk he and Katie had was good. Peter's dad jokes and him listing out the rules was pretty funny. I wish Peter was around more. Now, Logan's storyline really gave me secondhand embarrassment, as I knew from the combination of the previously on and both Miley and Logan's tones in their first scene what was going to happen, and I was not looking forward to it. I think Miley was correct in breaking up with Logan, but I always feel so bad when there's a misunderstanding when the guy is trying to propose. I will say, I wasn't expecting Jack to be injured in this episode. He had some good lines, including, I just proposed to Lisa on the couch, and that whole talk with Logan at the end. I liked hearing more about Lindy Sr. as well. I think the funniest part of the episode was when the masseuse, Michelle, came into the house and both Peter and Jack's reaction. I cracked up laughing. I wonder if Jack actually went through with the massage, as they never said. Also, where was Tim? As much as we joke about it, they usually do an okay job of explaining where missing characters are some of the time. But this season, I don't think they even explain one besides Jessica going on that excursion. As always, looking forward to the next episode. Once you mentioned the other two stories, I was like, okay, there was the Katie one, and what was the third one? And I was like, oh, right, the Logan one. Like, I had forgot about that. I don't think it was necessarily like the worst, the Logan storyline. I mean, it was predictable and it still feels kind of like, I don't know how this all fits in, but I did enjoy Jack's part in the storyline. Like when they were fixing the fence and he was kind of like, okay, so what's going on? And don't you think you're a little young to be married? And then Logan talking like, I don't think so. I mean, you got married young. And then Jack challenging him back. I think that was needed, even though Logan went through with the proposal. And then later on, after Miley had broken up with him and Jack came with the tarp and he had that speech. I think it's always interesting to hear about past events because we've never got to see those. And I think when done well and right and correctly, they do add to the whole experience. And I think that was the thing that I liked most about the Logan-centric storyline. I also think that Tim joined Jessica for her trip. Like in episode 4, she said that she'll go first and then later he'll join her. But yeah, they could have mentioned that because it was kind of like, wow, suddenly he's gone. I don't know if he was necessarily needed for this episode, but it's always good to sort of be aware of where these characters are. Like all of a sudden, Lisa's gone and then she's back again in this episode. Also, I do wonder how much time Lou and Peter actually have together. I mean, we haven't heard that Lou went to Vancouver earlier this season, but I assume that that was where she was. But even in this episode, when Peter walked in, I had forgotten that they were together, that this wasn't just a parenting arrangement because of Katie or something like that. So when Lou and Peter kissed, I was like, oh, right, they're together. But then it's kind of funny that Lou went to Vancouver while Peter came to Hudson, and they kind of passed each other like ships in the night. Then Sharon said, a long one, sorry, but have a lot to say. Another great episode with a new writer. Loved Jack and Peter's faces when Michelle walked in. That was gold. Miley was right to break up with Logan and what she said to him, but don't think he really heard what she said. Until he can get his act together, there won't be a future for them. Glad Jack spoke to him. Hopefully this time he heard what was said. If Logan is having money problems, how could he afford an engagement ring? Parker is still wearing the same glasses she wore when she was 12. Katie does like Brandon, but what she did was a result of trying to live in two worlds. Hope she can be honest with him. Peter's talk was sweet, giving her great advice, although he does do dad jokes well. Too well. LOL. Love seeing Lou, Amy, and Lisa sharing some meaningful time together. Lou's honest talk to Amy explains many things, but a lot of won't see it that way. Lisa talking about her sister was good to hear about her family, and which was the catalyst for Lou and Amy. Amy shouldn't have spoken about Nate Sr. That is Nathan's decision. It was an honest mistake by Lou. Even Lisa thought the same. How this will affect the sisters and Nathan and Amy's relationship, we'll have to see. Will he feel a betrayal of trust between them, or will he think it was Caleb? I do love how their faces light up when they see each other. Strange, Amy hasn't asked Lindy anything about Nathan. Have a feeling Lou will drop Amy in it with Nathan, even though she's trying to help. Lou's outfit and then the crying laughing emoji. Wish we saw more of the girls' night, but having more stories in each episode can take away from the episode. Like Reggie's attitude. Thankfully, they didn't write him as a spoiled rich kid. It showed how his relationship with Shushi helped him gain confidence in himself, something Logan needs. At least Peter's new accommodation looks like a home and not a hotel, as in season 9. I guess Tim is with Jessica this episode. Amy might have not given Lou a hard time about Peter, but Tim and Jack still do, even after all this time. Amy could get the same reception. The Tyurin sisters bar didn't happen in this episode, but I feel it will in the next 2 episodes. Amy is finally moving forward as she isn't wearing her rings necklace. The family could live in Peter's house and not see each other for days. As always, with this season, I'm looking forward to episode 7. Okay, that's it. I really like the Katie storyline. I know it was kind of low-key, but I think H.L. Horses said it well when she said that it was age appropriate. I think the essay part of it and all the like how we got here offered a good foundation for this story to happen. And I think this is a very common theme with young people. So I think it was a really important story to tell, especially given that some of the audience are very young. And I feel like back in the day when I was her age, these type of storylines weren't necessarily something we saw, or it was kind of like, well, everyone's done everything at this age, and you always felt this like really big pressure to not fall behind. And so hearing Peter's conversation with Katie, I think it was really important and meaningful, and it really showed Heartland at its best, I feel like. I was also wondering when the ending scene with Nathan and Amy happened, like, will Nathan assume that this is Caleb? Like maybe Caleb's too jealous and is somehow dropping this hint to someone at the Crown Shoppers. I don't know how, but I don't think his first suspect is Amy, because I don't think he would have let her walk in if that was the case. So it's going to be really hard to watch how the trust between not only Amy and Nathan, but Amy and Lou will start to crack. And especially given Nathan's past and how he has a hard time trusting people. And now this has happened. When Amy brought up the Alzheimer's thing, I was kind of surprised. But at the same time, I know these sort of things happen, especially when you trust a person you're talking to, like maybe your partner or your family member. And I think it's kind of like mutual understanding that whatever was said stays in that moment and you won't tell that to anyone. So I was kind of like, wow, okay. It not only shows her trust in Lou, but also helps her get Lou off of her back, so she won't continue pestering her about the relationship with Nathan. So yeah, there was definitely a recipe for disaster waiting to happen there. But to be honest, I wasn't thinking that much ahead. I fully thought that the fight between Amy and Lou in Peter's condo was kind of it, because that is usually the route Heartland takes. Like there's some tension, but not too much, and then they chill and everything is solved and there's a happy ending and all that. So when Lou let it slip that Nathan Sr. has Alzheimer's, I mean, I understood in the moment why she thought of it, but at the same time, I myself, I am an overthinker. So I would have been like, okay, what does this guy mean? Like, does he mean that or does he mean this? So I wouldn't have let it slip before sort of examining. So it's easy for me to say, like, Lou made a big mistake, but I think it's fitting for her character. And I hope that this is something that she will learn from, because she's often very say first, think later. and this will have big consequences. So I would assume that it will definitely rock her world a little bit, because how do you even begin to solve something like this? I mean, I guess we'll see in the next episodes. I did like how the editing was made after Lou let it slip, and then it jumps to them leaving, and this music and just like the way Michelle and Jessica acted in the moment, I felt like it felt very authentic, and I felt the nerves and why did I say that? Like, I felt that. And I think that moment between Lou and Lisa was really well done, but also later when Amy goes to Nathan and he's kind of like in this state of shock, I guess. I think that was really good acting from Spencer as well. Smoking Holster said, I'll be upfront about this. Not my favorite episode. It was shot and directed well and as beautiful as always, but content-wise, not so much for me. I've read other reviews which had actually pissed me off more, but that's the way it is sometimes. Let me get the secondary stories over with first because neither really impresses me. Logan and Miley. I'm thrown by why this is part of the show. Do we really need another insecure, self-deprecating guy as a focus? Wasn't Ty enough? No matter what happens in the future for these two, Logan will always feel that every one of Miley's successes will be his failure, something he has to live up to. As far as I'm concerned, at the point where Ty comes to the realization that Amy would always be more in demand and famous as he could ever be, and would always have the ability to out-earn him, the entire tenure of their relationship and the show changed. Mongolia, Wolves, leaving the partnership with Scott, joining Amy in her business and declaring it theirs while never deferring to her, that storyline got old and tiresome. This won't end any other way. Katie. This whole storyline has been overplayed as far as I'm concerned. The similarity between Katie and her mom in the story is shocking. Using someone else to get where you need to be for any reason is thoughtless and cruel, and while I love that she realizes that and feels bad about it, it's a life lesson I hope she gets and sticks to. Seems this all will end next episode, which is just fine for me. The high point was Peter's talk with her and the basics of no is no that all women should be brought up with as a father is a bit late in the game for that talk, which should be ingrained earlier than 15, but better late than never. The sisters, Jack and Lisa. What a pathetic mess. I'll say upfront that yes, Amy should not have disclosed the prize secret, but looking at the moment it happened, the emotions, Lisa's story about Tammy, and the situation, Amy's vulnerability, put all together, while it shocked me that she did it, I understand where it came from. The reaction from fans is what struck me more than anything. I immediately flashed to the reaction of fans over Mongolia, where many immediately took the tack that Amy was why he went because she told him to go, and that everything that happened from that point on ultimately fell on her choice to allow him to get it out of his system. It was bullshit then, and it's bullshit in this arc. The one thing you can count on in the show is the misogyny of the men and the thoughtlessness of the characters towards each other. Lou's got the thoughtfulness down pat. She is and has always been an emotional wreck, especially when it comes to business. She has never been on point about her relationship or her advice, so unlike many who see her as Lou, the great Amazon warrior and princess who rises above all to conquer, I find her kind of pathetic. Was it a thoughtless slip of the tongue? I guess you can say that, but to me, it's something else. She used it to secure a bond with Jed. It's a business tactic that often works unless you're using it and throwing someone under the bus at the same time. It's likely less than 24 hours since the words were said, and she blurts it out as if it was nothing. They're neighbors. Price and Heartland both have the same experiences, the same drought and economy. Why would she possibly immediately go to Nathan's Alzheimer's? She could have just said nothing. She could have waited for him to explain or ask for that, but no, there was the opportunity to further that business bond. It's gross, and to hammer that point home, she's oblivious that she's done anything wrong because it could have immediately been followed up by saying that Nathan Jr. has stepped up and is doing an amazing job of keeping Christ beef alive and following and honoring that tradition. Then, not doing that, she needs the right moment to tell Amy where, the right when they leave either to pack or get straight to the airport, the flight, and then the ride home to Heartland. The time it took for Amy to get ready for her date wasn't enough to let her sister know how badly and how thoughtlessly she's acted, how she betrayed her before Amy leaves to her date. It was mind-blowing and disgusting. Sorry, I have no respect for Lou at all. And no, Lisa is complicit too. She was on that trip home and was also there the whole time, and I'm sure was aware Amy was leaving to see Nathan. Time to open your mouth, Grandma. Since this has also come up with fans blaming Nathan for a breach of trust, that's bullshit and a typical thoughtless. No lawyers or contracts exist in the world script flaw because Price Beef is performing exactly the way a family business is supposed to, and not like Heartland would, with the lie of a plan Lou presents to clients. Picture of 5 women to ensure the viability of the Heartland Beef business where 4 of the women could care less about it and wouldn't be there to carry on is simply one big lie and actually the breach of trust. Nathan is carrying on to deliver what the contract calls for. I was also wondering, what that trip home was like. I assume it was suspiciously quiet because I can't imagine them acting all normal or whatever. So unless they were all basically asleep, it's strange to think that there was no tension between them. And then again, who's looking after Lindy, because I doubt it was Peter or Katie or Jack or anyone who wasn't involved with this. I suspect it was either Lou or Lisa. It's kind of like, so they watched Amy walk in to a lion's den. I don't know if they realized that the news had traveled this fast, but at the same time, it's kind of like you don't want her to be in that position no matter what. Even though it wouldn't come out quickly, it's one of those things that the longer you wait, the worse it gets. But I guess we'll see more in the next episode. The one thing, now that we're here, I want them to do is honor the mess that they've made. I don't want it to be something simple like Lou getting hurt and Amy being like, oh, let's forget all this fighting. I want them to really dig deep because there's a lot of elements here that have been part of their relationship for years. We already saw tension in the first minutes of this episode where Lou has booked this trip for them and Amy's like, I have my own life, and then the way that they navigate things differently, and then the way they value different things and their interest in all that. I feel like we're really at the core of what always makes them tick with each other, and I really hope that they dive in deep. I'm not expecting too deep because this is a family show after all and they only have 4 episodes left this season, but I hope it's more complex than just let's not fight. I'm tired. I really hope that they address some of the issues that they've had for years and hopefully they will learn from this and grow from this because we don't really know when the show ends. So it's kind of frustrating to think that we're on season 18 and some of the season 1 problems are still season 18 problems, if you know what I mean. So while I don't know what the solution exactly would be, I hope that it will be at least somewhat satisfying. Then Heartland Lee's BFC said, I know everyone is mad at Lou for spilling the info about Nathan's dad's Alzheimer's, but if Amy had done as Nathan had asked her in the first place, Lou would have never known the information to spill. Nathan told Amy not to tell anyone, and I'm sure Lisa and Lou included in anyone. Amy wanted Nathan to open up to her. He did, and she told his business to Lou and Lisa. So was Lou in the wrong for opening her mouth? Of course, but so was Amy betraying Nathan's trust in telling Lou in the first place. I was surprised to see the episode end where it did. I mean, it did make a great cliffhanger, don't get me wrong, but also it's always a little bit frustrating when we kind of miss something between the episodes. So I'm hoping that the episode doesn't jump too much ahead. I would like to see Amy leaving Nathan's and go into Heartland and being like, how did they found out? Because she has 3 suspects, at least from her perspective. It's either Caleb, Lou, or Lisa. Either way, it's gonna be like really hard for her to face that someone let it slip. And then it's like guilt that she even said anything in the first place. In a way, it would be easier if it was just Caleb, because at least Nathan made that decision to tell him in the first place, even though the situation kind of forced him to. But even with that, Amy is kind of the key player in all of this. So I hope they keep the tension going in the next episode and we see kind of the aftermath at the beginning of the episode, because I don't want to miss these important minutes, as I do feel we need these to fully understand the situation and what everyone's going through. Either way, I feel like this is going to be one of those times like with season 4, like, was it right for Amy to kiss Jason? Did Ty do wrong by keeping Claire's kiss a secret? Or season 8 with the prince and later Mongolia and all that? So I'm just kind of like, not again, but the milk has already been spilled. Then Stephanie said, we actually got an episode on Sunday. Yay! Overall, this episode was pretty good. Here are some thoughts. I thought we would get to see more of Lisa, Amy, and Lou bonding and having fun on their trip. I'm thankful for the scenes we did have, but I was hoping for more since just having the 3 of them together is so rare. I did like the fact that we got to hear more about Lisa's past and more about her sister. When Amy told Lisa and Lou about Nathan's dad, I was slightly hoping nothing bad was going to happen. Of course, something did, because drama, lol. I literally wanted to throw my iPad when Lou said something to that guy about it. I'm so interested to see how this storyline is going to play out. I did enjoy the horse storyline. It was nice to see that type of writing style again. I love at the beginning we got to see some cute Nathan and Amy moments. Him calling Amy to see where she is was so cute. I was really hoping we would get to see their date, but it looks like we'll have to wait a bit longer to see that, assuming they didn't end up having the date after Nathan losing his business deal. Yeah, I don't think that really puts you in the mood to go on a date. Yeah. Anyways, I don't really have much to say about the Logan storyline other than the fact that he really needs to learn to read the room. Like, he treats his girlfriend like crap. Then a couple of days later acts like nothing happened, then proceeds to propose. I did like after all of that happened that Jack talked some sense into him. I just hope Logan actually listened and will learn something. I like seeing Peter again. I wish he could be in more episodes. I loved his talk with Katie. Him teasing her about how he didn't want to hear her talk about boys was just so funny to me. I did feel embarrassed on behalf of Katie when she was sort of using her friend to come up with a story for her writing class. Not exactly a good moment for her. Looking forward to the next week. Can't believe we'll be on episode 7. And yeah, let's actually talk about that episode 7 because I feel like it's highly anticipated. So, if you're listening this on Saturday, it's streaming on CBC Gem tomorrow, and this episode we just talked about will be on CBC TV. Episode 7 is called World on a String. The synopsis for the episode says, Amy works with a unique client whose sanctuary is at risk of closure, while a secret Katie's been keeping is revealed and shocks Lou. Obviously, the Katie thing will be the writing group, but I do wonder how it will be revealed to Lou. I do wonder if Lou's stressed about the situation with Amy and Nathan will affect how she will treat Katie. Like maybe Katie is like, okay, I'm sorry, like I know I kept a secret, but like it's not that big of a deal. And then Lou has all these anxiety because of the slip that she really lets Katie hear it, and it's only gonna make things worse at the Heartland Ranch. But we'll talk about that next week. And until then, keep your noses clean and your powder dry, as they say. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.